having a wonderful and purposeful day. Welcome to the third episode in the series on the life of John Newton. At the end of previous episode, Newton was on his way to the East Indies on a 5-year tour of duty in the English Navy. He had also made a few futile attempts to avoid this assignment that would keep him away from Polly for half a decade. The particular attempt to desert resulted in a demotion in status from midshipman to ordinary seaman. In case you missed that episode, you can find it at the link here. Newton had hit rock bottom. The primary reason was his deep longing for Polly. His tour of duty would keep him away from her for 5 years. There was no knowing if she would wait for him to return, and her recent response to Newton's declaration of love for her was less than satisfactory. To add to his romantic misery, he was taunted and bullied by his fellow sailors below deck, many of whom he had mistreated when he was a midshipman. Even Captain Carteret resented Newton and showed no concern for his plight. Newton constantly contemplated ending his own life by jumping off the ship, his floating prison. The only thing stopping him was his desire to see Polly again someday, the faint but fleeting hope that they would be united in the future. If you've paid any attention to the story thus far, you must have recognized God's mighty hand protecting, providing for, and sustaining Newton in spite of his foolish and rebellious ways. Well, that mighty hand was about to miraculously deliver Newton once again. On the morning of May 9, 1745, Newton woke up to discover that an exchange was in progress. The naval fleet had made a stop to stock up on supplies in the Canary Islands. The commander of the naval fleet ordered Captain Carteret to exchange 2 sailors under his command for 2 that had been impressed from a merchant ship. Sensing opportunity, Newton begged the ship's leadership to let him go. Considering Newton's terrible behavior on board the HMS Harwich, I would have expected Captain Carteret to punish Newton by denying his request. Surprisingly, Captain Carteret let him go. He probably wanted to get rid of Newton once and for all. Regardless, we cannot deny God's hand in Newton's deliverance. Remember Proverbs 21 verse 1, which says, "The king's heart is like channels of water in the hand of the Lord. He turns it whichever way he wishes." Likewise, God directed Captain Carteret's heart to accomplish his purpose in Newton's life. Well, Newton transferred to the Pegasus, a merchant ship captained by Guy Penrose. Captain Penrose knew Newton Sr. and he received Newton enthusiastically. Their relationship was excellent for a very brief period. Newton was a terrible influence while on the Pegasus. He taught his fellow sailors songs mocking Captain Penrose and his ship, and the captain's friendship was quickly replaced by frustration and hostility. Sadly, Captain Penrose died unexpectedly while they were in Sierra Leone waiting to sail to the West Indies. Upon Captain Penrose's death, Josiah Blunt, the first mate of the ship, became the new captain. Captain Blunt hated Newton and Newton was well aware of that. Newton was fearful that Captain Blunt would send him back to a warship once they reached the West Indies. Hence, he decided that he would not sail to the West Indies. Now, on his journey to Sierra Leone, Newton met Amos Clow, a slave trader in West Africa. Newton learned that Clow had come to West Africa in the early 1740s without a penny in his pocket. And by the time Newton met him in 1745, Clow had become a businessman of substance. Newton was inspired by Clow's story and decided to make his fortune in the slave trading business. He became Clow's apprentice and was released from the Pegasus. Newton, who until recently wanted to die, was now filled with hope for the future for a brief period of time. A major part of Klau's business was operating a factory that he owned. No, a factory is not a place where they manufacture products. It was a fort where slaves were held till they were sold to visiting slave traders. Newton's first assignment was the management of the factory and the surrounding area. Note that he was fully aware of the brutality of the slave trade. The native slaves were hunted, captured, and temporarily imprisoned in factories. Once a sale had been finalized, the slaves would be separated from their families, stripped naked, branded, and beaten into submission. They would then be carried off to the ships of their new masters. Newton did not care for the plight of the slaves. His mind was fully set on the potential wealth that could be made. It was with this focus that Newton served under the mentorship of Clow. Thus began his slave trading career. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to my channel, like and share this video with others who may enjoy it. Take care, and I'll see you next time.